The last train to Raven Street. They say cities remember things. Not in the way people do, not with names or dates, but with pressure, with weight, with echoes that never quite fade. Black Hollow was one of those cities. From above, it looked ordinary enough. Cracked roads, flickering streetlights, subway grates breathing warm air into cold nights like the city itself was exhaling. But beneath it all, beneath the streets, beneath the rails, beneath the places people stopped looking, there were tunnels older than memory. And somewhere in those tunnels, there was a station that was never meant to be found. People didn't discover Raven Street. They arrived there, usually by mistake, usually when they were too tired to notice what was wrong. And once the train doors opened, Raven Street noticed them. No official map has ever shown Raven Street Station, but unofficial ones did. Hand-drawn diagrams passed between subway workers in the 1920s, chalk sketches on tunnel walls that maintenance crews would erase and then find redrawn days later. Crumpled notebook pages found in lockers after employees quit without notice. The strange thing wasn't just that Raven Street appeared, it was where it appeared. Every map placed it in a different location, sometimes between two real stations, sometimes beneath districts that had burned down decades earlier, sometimes impossibly far below ground, deeper than any subway tunnel had ever been dug. Engineers argued about it, historians dismissed it, conductors avoided certain routes without being able to explain why. And then, people began to disappear. The earliest confirmed incident happened in 1911. Train 86 departed from Grayson Terminal at 11:47 p.m. carrying 42 passengers. It never reached its next stop. Dispatch assumed a derailment. Emergency crews searched every tunnel along the route. They found nothing. Not wreckage, not bodies, not even loose bolts or scraped rails. The tracks were clean, as if the train had simply stopped existing. 2 weeks later, a night janitor reported seeing Train 86 parked at a platform that wasn't on his route list. The doors were open. The lights were on. No one was inside. By morning, the train was gone. The janitor quit that same day. He was later found wandering near the river, barefoot, repeating the same sentence over and over. It asked me to stay. The citywide blackout lasted 6 minutes. 6 minutes without power, without lights, without signals. In those 6 minutes, 3 trains vanished. When electricity returned, controllers assumed system failure, but the logs didn't agree. Each missing train had recorded an unscheduled stop. Same timestamp, same coordinates, same destination code, one that didn't correspond to any known station. RS. After the blackout, survivors across the subway system reported hearing announcements during the darkness, not over the speakers, inside their heads. Now arriving. City officials sealed Raven Street within the year. They poured concrete into access tunnels, welded steel doors shut, removed the station's name from all public records. They believed that erasing it would starve it. They were wrong. Mark loved forbidden knowledge. He believed the city was lying about its own history, and that urban legends were just the truth wearing disguises. When he talked about Raven Street, his voice dropped. "People think it kills you," he told me once, "but that's not right." "What does it do then?" I asked. He hesitated. "I think it listens first." The night he came home shaking, he smelled like old tunnels and cold metal. His hands were torn raw. There was dried blood beneath his nails. He wouldn't tell me where he'd been, only this. "If you ever feel the train slow where it shouldn't, stand up." "Why?" I asked. "Because sitting means you're already comfortable." 2 weeks later, Mark disappeared. His phone was found on a subway platform, still recording. The audio file was corrupted, except for one sentence. "It knows my name."
Time buried the story. Black Hollow grew. New stations opened. Old tunnels collapsed or were repurposed. People stopped talking about Raven Street out loud. But forgetting didn't make it weaker. It made it patient. Because Raven Street didn't need belief. It needed exhaustion. And exhaustion was something the city produced endlessly.
I was 16 hours into a hospital shift when it happened. My hands shook from caffeine and stress. My thoughts felt delayed, like they were moving through syrup. When the train doors closed, I remember thinking how nice it felt to just sit and let something else carry me. That was my mistake. The train slowed between stations. The lights flickered. And then the announcement came, not from the speakers, but from everywhere at once. Now arriving, Raven Street. The doors opened. The platform smelled old, and something down there was waiting. They lined the wall in silence. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Men, women, children, each frozen in the moment they realized they were trapped. Their clothes told stories their mouths no longer could. World War II uniforms, hospital gowns, office attire, funeral black. Their eyes followed the tunnel. They weren't watching the train. They were listening. And then I understood. They weren't waiting for rescue. They were waiting for the next arrival. The doors behind me closed. The train left. And Raven Street finally had me alone. The sound of the train pulling away didn't echo the way it should have. Normally, subway noise bounces, metal screaming against concrete, vibrations rattling through bone. But as the last car vanished into the tunnel, the sound didn't fade. It was cut, like someone had closed a door on reality itself. The air shifted immediately. It became heavier, thicker, as if the platform had sunk a few inches deeper into the ground. The lights overhead buzzed with a low, insect-like hum that crawled into my ears and refused to leave. I took a step toward the edge of the platform. The darkness in the tunnel felt attentive, not empty, watching. Behind me, one of the motionless figures exhaled, just once, dry, cracked, painful. I spun around. Every head along the wall had turned slightly in my direction. Not fully, just enough to let me know I was no longer alone. He appeared without footsteps. One moment, the far end of the platform was empty. The next, he was there. Tall enough that his head nearly brushed the ceiling lights. His black coat didn't move, even though the air around him felt restless. No wrinkles, no seams, just darkness shaped like fabric. Where his face should have been, there was smooth, pale skin, unbroken, unmarked, unfinished. He didn't breathe, didn't blink, didn't cast a shadow. But when he turned his head toward me, I felt pressure behind my eyes, like something was trying to read me from the inside. Words appeared on the tiled wall beside him. Not painted, not scratched. They emerged as if the wall itself was remembering them. You arrived alone. I didn't mean to, I said. The words faded. New ones replaced them. Intent is not required. He lifted one gloved hand and gestured, not toward me, but toward the platform, toward the people. They all said the same. For the first time, one of the figures stepped forward, just one, a woman in a faded blue dress. Her shoes were worn down to threads. Her skin hung loosely from her bones as if gravity had been pulling on her for decades. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. The conductor lowered his hand. The woman froze again. The rules appeared slowly, not all at once, because Raven Street didn't want to overwhelm you. It wanted you to adapt. The first rule revealed itself when I asked the wrong question. "How do I get out of here?" I whispered. The lights flickered violently. The station groaned.
Not metal on metal, something deeper, organic, like the sound of a massive body adjusting its weight. The conductor turned his head sharply toward me. Words slammed into the wall. "Do not ask for exit." My chest tightened. Why? The wall cracked. A thin line split through the tile, leaking darkness. The figures along the wall recoiled as if in pain. The conductor raised his hand again. The crack sealed. New words appeared, slower this time. The station hears questions as requests. Requests must be answered. I swallowed hard. What happens if it answers? The conductor's head tilted. Then you stay. It didn't take long. I heard my name, softly, from somewhere behind the tunnel wall. "Hey," Mark's voice said. "You're okay. I found a way." I froze. The figures along the wall began to tremble. Some raised their hands to their ears. Others smiled. The conductor didn't move. Words appeared beneath the station sign. "Do not follow what knows you." Mark's voice grew closer, warmer. "I remember everything," he said. "The kitchen, the night I left. You didn't believe me." I stepped back until my shoulders hit the tile. "What happens if I follow?" I asked. The words came immediately this time. "You will never be lost again." Something about that sentence felt wrong. Too comforting, too final. A man near the far end of the platform suddenly broke from the line and ran toward the tunnel, sobbing with relief. The darkness swallowed him. The station went silent. Then the screaming started, not from the tunnel, from everywhere. It lasted exactly 13 seconds. When it stopped, the people returned to their places. One space in the line was empty. I tried counting minutes. It didn't work. My watch spun backward. My phone screen showed dates that didn't exist. The conductor noticed. "Time does not pass here. It circles." I watched a man near the wall age in real time, his hair thinning, skin sagging, only to snap back to his original state a moment later, gasping in confusion. He whispered, "I was old. I was so tired." Then he forgot again. That was when I realized the cruelty of Raven Street. It didn't just trap people. It denied them the relief of ending. Exhaustion crept in anyway. It always does. The platform lights dimmed rhythmically, like a slow heartbeat. The hum softened into something almost soothing. My knees buckled. The wall filled with urgent words. "Do not rest. Sleep is consent." A young boy near the wall slumped forward. The moment his eyes closed, the darkness beneath the platform peeled open like a mouth. Hands reached up, not grabbing, inviting. They took him gently. The line closed. The lights brightened again. The conductor turned to me. For the first time, words appeared on the glass of my reflection. "You are learning." I didn't feel relieved. I felt selected. I finally understood. The conductor wasn't in control. He was assigned. Fragments surfaced, memories that weren't mine. A man in a uniform from decades ago. A voice announcing stations proudly. A moment of hesitation when the train slowed where it shouldn't have. The wall trembled. Images bled through the tiles. The first conductor asked for help. The station answered. The faceless man stepped closer. I felt cold, then warmth. There was one rule the station never displayed, because saying it made it real. The conductor leaned in, so close I could see my reflection in his blank face. For a moment, just a flicker, I saw myself there, older, still, watching others arrive. The final words appeared. The station will not starve. Behind us, the tunnel breathed. Somewhere above, another train was slowing. The announcement echoed through the station. "Now arriving!" And this time, I wasn't the newest arrival anymore. Then a pull, like gravity reversing. Words appeared, softer now. He kept the rules. Now he enforces them. I realized the truth then. Every conductor had once been a passenger. The next train arrived without sound. No screech of brakes, no rush of wind. It simply appeared, a dark shape sliding out of the tunnel as if it had always been there. The doors opened. No one stepped out. The people along the wall stirred, just slightly. Some leaned forward. Others clenched their hands until knuckles split open. A few smiled, not wide, not hopeful, but resigned, like prisoners hearing familiar footsteps. The conductor turned to me. Words surfaced on the wall behind him, arranged more carefully than any before. "The station permits transition." "What does that mean?" I asked. The conductor gestured toward a narrow corridor that hadn't existed before, its entrance unfolding from the wall like a wound slowly opening. Above it, a single word glowed faintly. "Exit." Relief surged through me so violently it hurt. That was how Raven Street worked. It didn't drag you screaming into horror. It let you believe. The corridor sloped downward before it rose. That alone should have warned me. The air inside was warmer, damp, carrying the smell of wet stone and something old and human. The walls pulsed subtly, expanding and contracting like lungs. Then the stairs began. Concrete steps worn smooth by countless feet, a metal handrail, cold and slightly sticky, flickering emergency lights that buzzed irregularly. At first, it felt normal. After a while, it felt repetitive. After much longer than it should have taken, I realized something was wrong. The graffiti on the walls repeated. The same scratches, the same half-erased warnings, the same message carved deeper than all the others. "This is not up." I kept climbing anyway, because turning back felt worse. I wasn't alone. Footsteps echoed above me, below me. People climbed in both directions, men and women in various stages of decay and desperation. Some looked newly arrived, still breathing hard, eyes bright with hope. Others looked hollowed out. One woman passed me, moving downward. "You're almost there," she whispered, smiling with cracked lips. "The door is warm." I stopped. "Warm?" I asked. She tilted her head. "I don't remember," she said, and continued down. A man sat slumped on a step nearby, rocking back and forth. "I made it once. I swear I did." "What happened?" I asked. He looked up at me. "There was a room with windows," he said. "I could see the city." His hands shook. Then it blinked. The stairwell began to speak, not loudly, not all at once. Soft phrases drifted through the air, slipping into my thoughts like memories I wasn't sure were mine. "You're doing great. Just a little further. You deserve rest." They used voices I trusted. My mother, my brother, old friends I hadn't spoken to in years. Each voice sounded almost right, but not quite. The rhythm was wrong, the pauses too deliberate. I covered my ears. The voices grew closer. They weren't echoing through the stairwell. They were coming from inside the walls, scratching, learning. Eventually, the stairs ended. I stumbled onto a wide concrete landing, chest burning, legs trembling. There was no door, just a blank wall. The voices stopped instantly. The silence pressed against my ears so hard it hurt. In the center of the wall,
Faint letters appeared, slowly, reluctantly. "Are you ready to be seen?" I stepped back. The wall rippled and opened. The room beyond was bright, painfully so. Sunlight poured through large windows, illuminating dust motes drifting lazily through the air. The sound of traffic hummed faintly in the distance. The city skyline stretched out beyond the glass. Black Hollow. Alive. Normal. I fell to my knees, sobbing. This was it. This had to be it. I staggered toward the windows. The glass felt warm beneath my hands. Too warm. I pressed my forehead against it. The city outside didn't move. No cars changed lanes. No pedestrians crossed streets. The clouds were frozen mid-drift. Then the skyline smiled. Buildings bent inward, curving like teeth. Streets twisted into veins. The sky darkened, folding down toward me like a lid. The glass softened. My hands sank in. I screamed. It stepped out of the reflection. Tall. Wrong. Its body was stitched together from borrowed shapes, arms that didn't quite match, legs that bent at incorrect angles. Faces slid across its surface like masks, appearing and dissolving. I recognized them. The woman from the platform. The boy who fell asleep, the man who ran into the tunnel. And Mark. His face lingered longest. "I told you I found a way out," it said, using his mouth. "I just didn't tell you where it led." The thing moved closer. The room darkened. "This place doesn't keep you," it whispered. "It becomes you." I backed away until my spine hit the far wall. "What happens if I don't choose?" I asked. The faces smiled in unison. "Then you stay unfinished." Understanding hit me like a physical blow. Raven Street offered exits not to free people, but to sort them. Those who gave in became part of the station. Those who resisted became something worse. The stairwell wasn't a way out, it was a test, and I had failed it. The room began to collapse inward, folding back into the stairwell, dragging me with it. As darkness swallowed the light, I heard the announcement echo faintly below. "Now arriving." Another train, another chance. I tumbled back onto the platform, gasping. The conductor stood waiting, and this time, he was smiling. When I landed back on the platform, my knees hit the tile hard enough to send pain up my spine. Pain was reassuring. Pain meant I was still separate. The lights above flickered in a new pattern, slower now, steadier. The station felt calmer, satisfied. The people along the wall were watching me openly this time, no pretending, no frozen terror. They knew what I had seen. They knew what came next. The conductor stood where he always had, tall and unmoving, but something about him was different, closer. The words appeared gently on the wall, like an explanation rather than a warning. "You returned." "I didn't choose," I said hoarsely. The conductor inclined his head. "That is also a choice." Behind me, a new train rumbled through the tunnel. It was slowing. I noticed details I hadn't before. The way the platform curved slightly inward like a bowl. The subtle grooves worn into the tile where countless feet had stood in the same place for too long. The faint outlines on the wall where people once leaned, then stopped needing support. The station wasn't chaotic. It was organized, efficient. The conductor gestured toward the line of people. "They require guidance." "They're prisoners," I said. The words came slower this time. "They are held. You would lead." The realization made my stomach twist. "You don't drag people here," I whispered. "You wait for them to be weak." The conductor didn't deny it.
The station feeds on what the city creates. We maintain balance. Another train arrived. This time, the doors opened. 3 people stepped out, all exhausted, all confused, all still hopeful. A young woman stood closest to me, clutching her bag like a lifeline. "Is this Raven Street?" she asked. Her voice trembled. I saw myself in her. The conductor waited. The station waited. Everything waited for me. I remembered the rules. I remembered the stairwell. I remembered the thing that wore my brother's face. I could tell her the truth. I could scream. I could refuse. And Raven Street would simply wait for someone else. Someone less careful. Someone crueler. I swallowed. "Yes," I said quietly. "You're safe. For now." The station sighed. The lights warmed. The conductor stepped back. The change didn't happen all at once. It started with my reflection. The glass in the train windows no longer showed me clearly. My face blurred at the edges, like a memory losing focus. Then the sounds shifted. I could hear thoughts now, not clearly, not words, but weight, regret, fear, exhaustion. They flowed through the platform like currents, and I could direct them. The conductor stood beside me. Words appeared one last time between us. "You understand." "I understand why you don't speak," I said. The conductor nodded. Where his face should have been, I saw the faint outline of someone who had once smiled.
Time lost meaning, but patterns remained. People arrived. Some listened. Some ran. Some begged the stairwell to save them. The station accepted them all. The line along the wall grew, then stabilized. Because Raven Street didn't need more than it could hold. It only needed enough. Enough fear. Enough waiting. Enough souls paused between moments. Above us, Black Hollow continued on. People complained about delayed trains, about flickering lights, about the feeling that something was wrong underground. Disappearances were explained away. They always were. Sometimes, late at night, I could feel the city pressing down through layers of concrete and earth, heavy, tired, producing more than it could ever care for. Raven Street never ran out of passengers.
One cycle, whatever that meant, ended quietly. The conductor stood beside me, closer than ever before. His outline flickered. The station hummed. Words formed slowly, with effort. "You are ready." He stepped backward, into the tunnel, and vanished. The platform was silent, waiting. I felt the weight settle fully onto me. The role fit. The intercom crackled. For the first time, the voice came from me. Now arriving, Raven Street. The doors opened. New faces looked out, confused, hopeful, tired in ways they didn't yet understand. I stood tall, patient, faceless. If you live in a city with a subway, pay attention when the train slows between stations. If the lights flicker longer than they should, if the announcement sounds wrong, too close, too familiar, stand up, do not rest, and whatever you do, do not follow the exit that promises warmth. Because Raven Street is real, it is still there, and it is always hiring.